Dean Legge going to wrap up Georgia's 2018 G-Day. I have with me, let's see, the list of all the attendance records for G-Day through the years. I'll talk about that a little bit. I thought it was a pretty good day for the quarterbacks, generally speaking. They've got the water behind me here. The guys from Savannah were swift enough to get in and get out of here. Not me, though. I was too busy watching Jake Fromm throw 38 passes, which he might have done in 4 games in this past season. I mean, he threw 7 against Florida, 8 against Tennessee, like 15 against Mississippi State. So that was interesting to watch. 38 passes from Jake Fromm, 2 interceptions. He didn't really get going until until the oh boy, we're getting killed with the sprinkles. All right, here, just put it down. We haven't seen him really have to throw like that in a very long time. And I'm not sure we're going to see him throw like that anytime soon. That's just not who Georgia is. And so it's interesting to watch quarterbacks throw the ball so much when you know they're not going to throw the ball at all in the future. I mean, you know, you didn't have DeAndre Swift out here. You didn't have Zamir White. You had Elijah and Brian Herrien. You know, Herrien, 34 yards. Elijah, I mean, they both only had 5 carries. It was interesting. It was interesting to see. What's interesting is this sprinkler behind me. I am relatively convinced we're going to get popped right here. Thank God this is not live TV. Stetson Bennett was 5 for 9. He had 1 or 2 knocked down, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. 1 was a penalty. But look, you know, I thought the punting, with the exception of I might have been inside when there was one good punt, but there was Marshall Long had a 49-yarder. There are things to work on. I mean, there's plenty to work on. You never want your starting quarterback to throw. You never want a team to have 3 interceptions, and that's what happened with the red team today. One of those was not Jake's. We sort of could tell with Justin Fields what he can do running the ball. There were times when it would have been nice to see him be a little bit less hesitant. But, you know, he probably played a little bit better today than he played last week. I would say he played probably a lot better. But there were 11 sacks today on the 2 quarterbacks. Again, this was not a real game. This was we're going to throw the ball game. And Georgia just doesn't throw the ball. And even though Jake threw it almost 40 times and had 200 yards. Justin 33 attempts for 200 yards, and Stetson was about 70 yards, 73 yards on 9 attempts. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to learn things from all of this. Generally speaking, I mean, Monty Rice and Brent Cox played pretty well for the red team. Monty was available, etc. And I'm just reminded of so many G-Days that just don't matter. I mean, last year's didn't seem to matter either. I mean, the big thing with Jake Fromm was he was dealing with the ones. And I think Georgia's ones had 33 yards rushing. That's pretty bad. But when you're just basically surrendering the run, I don't know, after a while. You saw some flashes from Justin Fields. Jake Fromm was relatively steady. You'd like to see him complete some more balls. But what we saw today is not what Georgia is. I mean, they're not a throwing team. They're not going to throw the ball. I mean, they threw it 60-some-odd times. 80 times today. That's just not who Georgia is. I do want to talk just for a second about G-Day here. So this is the second largest crowd in Georgia's spring game history. Traditionally, it's been lately certainly about 40,000. About 40,000 people have been coming in the sort of late Mark Richt years. They have now had Kirby Smart G-Days are averaging about 80,000. Today was about 82,000. 17 was 66,000, and then obviously 93,000 in 2016. I think if they had not been doing the construction, there would have been about 93,000 people. So it was one of those days where people came out. They probably wanted to ooh and ah a little bit. They did, and now they're going home. Hopefully everybody's safe. I'm glad I avoided the sprinklers narrowly. But come on over to Dog Post. I'm not avoiding the sprinklers right now. I'm getting it a little bit. Come on over to Dog Post, DAWGPOST.com. Check out everything we've got on our take of the day. Dylan's got his grades. Matt's got his recruiting report. Obviously, all the posters are going to have plenty to say on the board. I thought it was hard to tell what today meant. I mean, if this is a top 5 team, this was not the way they'll play in the fall. And that's the important part to remember is you're missing, for sure, this was the equivalent of playing last year without Nick and Sony. And that's a pretty big difference in the team, because I think Zamir is going to be a very good player. And I think we know DeAndre Swift is a pretty good player himself. So wrapping it up from Sanford Stadium here in Athens, Georgia, Dean Legge for Dog Post.